Hi, my name is Nathan Pelton, and like my friends up here with me today, I'm a high school senior going through the Footsteps of Faith program. When we were told that we were to talk about a moment we were in the presence of God, I knew immediately what I was going to talk about. It happened roughly 4 years ago when I was a freshman going on my very first mission trip. I only had one real friend on it, and I was absolutely petrified. But I'm very glad I went, as it was the place my faith journey really started. That year, we went to Pennsylvania, and we stayed with a group named Hosanna. For those of you who don't know what Hosanna is, it is a mission trip in rural Pennsylvania, right outside of Pittsburgh. Every day, we would venture away from the base camp where we were staying, and we visited sites anywhere from 10 minutes away to almost an hour. On the third day of the trip, we visited a house out in what seemed to be the smack dab of nowhere. This house looked like it had been standing since Civil War era, and later we actually found out that it had been. But it definitely needed some work. Throughout that day, we were able to install a whole new deck, new insulation, a new roof, a new dryer and washer, install air conditioning, clean up their yard, and moved what seemed to be 300-pound boulders out from where their deck used to be. All of this took a group of 30 of us about the whole day. Now, throughout the day, we saw glimpses of the family that was living in the house here and there. They had extended family living in trailers by the house, and they seemed to stay away from the house and let us do our work. But at the end of the day, we gathered in a circle like classic mission trip fashion. Before we broke the circle, an older woman, who turned out to be the wife living in the house, spoke up. She managed to choke out a sentence that was full of tears about how thankful she was for our work. And after she spoke, the man next to her, who I found out to be her husband who lived in the house as well, and who was in a wheelchair, began to stand. I could tell that standing for him was painful, and that he wanted to stand to say thank you. He spoke very quietly and mumbled, but I managed to make his words out. He had eyes full of tears with one streaming down his face, and I knew for a man who lived in rural Pennsylvania and who most likely worked with his hands, crying was not a usual occurrence. But it was in his thank you and his eyes full of tears I knew we were in the presence of God. That man saw the work of God in us and our deeds we did that day. We were able to do for him what he could not financially or physically afford, and for that, we were God's servants to him. It was that moment I realized that God was in each of us and works in mysterious ways. But in that circle, I knew he was there. I could feel him watching over us, and ever since that day, I have made it a priority to attend all possible mission trips. And on all mission trips I have taken since that day, I have felt God's presence in the work we do. Thank you.